I've always found solace in the heart of nature, away from the chaos of city life. This time I chose a remote camping site nestled deep in the woods, where the promise of solitude was as dense as the foliage around me. My name is Jake, and I'm no stranger to camping alone, but this experience, it was unlike any other. The first hint that something was amiss came on my second night. Lying in my tent, I was lulled into a near-sleep state by the gentle symphony of the woods. That's when I heard it, an odd scratching sound, close to my tent. Grabbing my flashlight, I ventured out, the beam cutting through the inky blackness. But there was nothing, only the whispering trees and the night's chill. I convinced myself it was just a curious animal, maybe a raccoon, and returned to my tent. The next day, during a hike, I couldn't shake off a feeling of unease. Once I thought I saw a shadow dart between the trees, and then what looked like a figure standing in the distance. Each time I stopped to look, there was nothing but the stillness of the forest. It's just your imagination, Jake, I told myself, or perhaps other hikers or animals. But the real chill down my spine came when I returned to my campsite that evening. My watch, which I distinctly remember leaving on a small rock, was gone. Later, I found it hanging from a tree branch far out of reach. This wasn't an animal's doing. Someone was messing with me. That night, every snap of a twig, every rustle of leaves sent my heart racing. The feeling of being watched grew unbearable. By the morning, I'd had enough. I decided to pack up and leave, but in my haste and growing panic, I took a wrong turn somewhere. The familiar trails seemed to warp into an unrecognizable maze. My phone, my only lifeline, showed no signal, but I managed to find a spot just high enough to make an emergency call. I explained to the dispatcher, voice trembling, that someone was stalking me in the woods. The police arrived, but after a thorough search, they found no evidence of anyone else around. No footprints, no signs of another camper. The officers suggested that it might have been an animal, or perhaps my imagination amplified by the isolation. Back in the safety of my home, I reflected on the experience. Despite the police finding no evidence, I couldn't shake the conviction that someone had been following me in those woods. The watch hanging from the tree, the shadows darting just out of sight. They were too real to be mere figments of my imagination. Yet the frustrating reality was that I would likely never find out the truth. That uncertainty lingered in my mind, a haunting reminder of the mysteries that can hide in the depths of the wilderness, and the unnerving sense of being watched that I couldn't explain away.